Okay, everyone, welcome to a bonus episode of the
Bonus
Liberation Hour. Yes,
episode.
bonus episode of the Liberation Hour. I am here with friend of the show, Lily Agla, and
Hello.
yes, hello. It is so wonderful to have you back on the show again. And
It's
we're
so wonderful
talking,
to be back.
yeah, we're talking about your experience in the great land of Cuba. Yes. So recently, I believe, Lily, you went with the Freedom Flotilla gang.
Yes, with the People's Forum specifically.
Yes. And you went and delivered aid to Cubans
Yes, we
who
did.
are currently suffering under the draconian economic and political blockade done
hmm
by the imperial United States.
hmm
So, yeah, let's go ahead and just, what was your experience overall? Let us know. What was the vibe?
I would say the overall vibe check for Cuba, it was very emotional. It was really heavy. I cried pretty much every day. But I think the most unique part about that entire experience, as negatively emotional as it was that it was also one of the most positively amazing experience I've ever had. Um, when we first landed, we were at the airport and there were people that greeted us and they were so happy that we were there and they were so kind. And you hear all the time about how kind and generous and welcoming and hospitable the Cuban people are, and it doesn't prepare you at all for
Hmm.
just how
Right.
what just decent people they are. I mean, they're just amazing. So yeah, we spent the first day at the community center where we were staying because we weren't staying at a five-star hotel. Some other people were, but we were not.
Call out.
Hello. And I don't really care about all that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but yeah, so we actually ate all our meals at that community center. They prepared them there. Delicious. Thank you to all the amazing people that are working there. And yeah, that was I would say the wrap up. It was just everywhere you go, um you are both reminded of their resiliency and their ability to survive and their continued perseverance, but then you just become so infuriated because you're I am literally contributing to these people's suffering that are in
Right.
front of my eyes.
Right.
I am obviously individually a part of the problem, but the country that I'm from is the problem.
Right.
It's a weird dichotomy to hold. Very
Right.
weird.
Yeah, no, that's so I that must have been very challenging to deal with internally.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, bizarre.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that it's so cool. How many days were you there for?
I think we were there for 5 days, 5.5 days.
Nice. And were there other influencers that you went with?
Yeah, Madeline Pendleton was on the same trip as me. We stayed in the same place. And there was besides Madeline, there was another one. His name is Jorge. Jorge is a Cuban American. I don't have his ad on me right now. But it was interesting because there were many people, 'cause, the contingency was, I mean, several hundred people in total, but our individual group was about 40. And there were lots of people that weren't necessarily socialists or Marxists. They were kind of there just to they were Latin American or Cuban American, and it was their first time experiencing what Cuba's actually like. And that was
Mm,
also very interesting to see through their eyes, realizing that the propaganda is just not true right in
right.
front of them.
Right. And it's I think that with how aggressive the Americans have been with their messaging around Cuba and the fact
Mm,
that, and its right to exist as a state.
mm,
It's interesting, the state that has some of the best doctors in the world, some of the best distribution systems in the
mm,
world for its people, is being challenged as a state that has a right to exist, but one that has literally been doing a genocide for 3 years, 70
mm.
plus years, I should say.
Yep.
There's no question, apparently.
No question about it. No, yeah. No, yeah, you can murder as many brown people as you want. You can have a state that exists, but if you dare give people free health care, then you have to be genocided. So,
Yeah, it's oops, sorry guys,
sorry.
not on the list.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that sounds like such an interesting experience. I saw it all over your social media. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it so much.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, and what do you think? So of the 5 days, explain to
Mm,
me about each day, like what did you guys get up to? What was
yeah.
the activity list?
Our second day there was probably the most packed. So we started out at a school. We went to a school in what is now called Freedom City, but was previously the military capital of the country, led by the dictator that was there prior to Castro, Batista. And
Yeah.
so the schools that we were in were actually former military barracks. We saw his old mansion. It was very interesting. So the actual school itself, I mean, the way it's set up, I'm not sure if you've read Paulo Freire, the Brazilian Marxist,
I have not.
Pedagogy of the Oppressed. I'm like just getting into it, and it's reminding me so much of what these schools were like. Just the brief like explanation that I got of it. The education model itself is so different in comparison to the US. Like teacher and student are not held in different authoritative positions. They work collaboratively.
Hmm.
Um, the association that the students, or rather organization the students are a part of, is called the Pioneros, the Pioneers. And so, like, children can join this organization, and that allows them to take on leadership roles. And those leadership roles, they're able to decide what activities they want to do for the month. And they talk about those things with their teachers, and they coordinate together to plan events, to host events. So that alone was already like very interesting. They talked extensively about the codes and laws that are used to protect children in Cuba. They have like an entire set of them,
Hmm.
which, of course, coming from the Epstein capital of the world, like that's just
Yeah.
not the case.
Nope.
And that
Not a
was
bit.
already what like got me crying because I was just looking at all these children in front of me who are suffering at the hands of the US government, like actively, who are walking, several miles just to get to school because they don't have fuel. And they're still so happy and they're so intelligent and they're such like just full and complete humans already at their age because of the way that they're respected and treated. It's amazing. So
Wow.
we were there for a solid minute, and then afterwards, I believe later that day we went to a hospital. We went to the largest pediatric hospital in the country. We stayed in Havana the whole time that we were there,
Mm-hmm.
and so we spoke with them. And it's another example too, right? Like you go to these buildings that in the US would of course like be very well maintained, very well kept, and they haven't been, rebuilt
Yeah.
in many, many, many decades. So it's quite literally crumbling in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And that's bizarre to see, but I think as bizarre as that may like feel initially, then you sit down with these people who are genuinely like some of the most attentive, intelligent, amazing doctors and scientists on the planet, right? The discoveries that they're making are otherworldly, and the ability that they have to care for their patients with so little resources is just mind blowing. So we spoke with the director of the hospital. She was amazing. We had the entire like board of pediatrics there as well, and we got to talk to her for a solid minute. And I think the best she's had many great answers, but someone was talking to her about like mental health in Cuba, right? And they were like, in the U.S., a lot of people have mental health issues related to their material conditions. Of course, like I'm sure you have that too. They asked her, when you have to walk to work or when you can't help a patient, like how do you get through it? What do you do? And she said, I have two words for you and two words alone: Fidel Castro.
Oh
And I was like,
wow.
oh my God, that's the best line.
Fidel. Yes.
Like that's
Yes.
it. Like they really, their dedication to their revolution is something that is like it's not, I can't, you can't explain it until you've witnessed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, like that's like such a wow. Wow.
Doesn't that
I
like send chills down your spine?
It does. It really does. It reminds me of, just how resilient the Cuban people are.
Yeah.
And how the revolution really did change so much for Cuban
Yes.
people.
Completely. completely. And speaking of, so then I think it was that same day, and I might be getting some things wrong, but I'm still gonna hit all the major points, so it's okay.
Yeah, no, you're good.
We went to the Literacy Campaign Museum, and I'm sure that you're well aware of the Literacy Campaign, but
Yeah.
for the listeners, prior to the revolution, the majority of Cuba's population was illiterate, amongst many other material conditions that they were lacking in. But the lack of literacy was something that Castro was really, really focused on. And so for a year in either 61 or 60, I can't, or 62 maybe, because it was the same year as the Bay of Pigs, actually.
Right.
They had a literacy campaign that stretched across the entire island. They had volunteers and also teachers that came from multiple other countries, including the US, who came to teach Cubans how to read. And it was Cubans that lived all over the island. If they were living in the mountains, if they were living in the cities, wherever they may be, people came and lived with them and taught them how to read. And within
Wow.
that year, they went from less than half. It may have even been like 30 to 40% literacy to 99% literacy in a year, bro.
Yeah.
And like, once again, this is like how where the dichotomy comes into it. You go through this museum, and it's a tiny museum, and of course the power wasn't working that day. And we were looking at all the artifacts that they had. They had the uniforms that the school teachers wore, and they had photos of teachers that had been murdered by Cubans that were trained in the US and sent to the island specifically to murder teachers.
Oh my
So,
God.
like, you think that's what I'm saying. Like, you go through this whole thing, you think like it's amazing. It's like one of the most amazing feats in contemporary history, right? Like, this small island was able to bring its population to consciousness through just the power of fucking reading. And then you look at the photos and you're like, oh, these are people that were murdered. And the youngest victim, he was 16, and he
Wow.
was a teacher that was living in a mountainous region, with a family, and these mercenaries, basically paramilitary forces, Cubans in exile, paramilitary forces from the US,
Yeah.
found him, and they tortured him,
Oh my
and
God.
then they like beheaded him. And I
What?
think, like, yeah, like either beheaded him or they like mutilated his body.
A
And
16-year-old?
16-year-old. And then, like, it must have been a year and a half, 2 years later, the literacy campaign museum, or there was like some honorary, event for the actual campaign itself, and his mother came to that event all those decades ago and honored him. And yeah, so it's moments like that where you kind of, once again, you just have to sit back and, like, being a citizen of the United States and realizing that for all the love and the care that I have for these people, and of course it's unlimited, like, I'm in solidarity with them, how can I not be?
Right.
I also just think back and I'm like, wow, like, this is some of the most barbaric things I've ever heard in my life. And obviously I have no surprise or shock and awe when it comes to like what the US government does to other countries, but being in that place is a very different experience. So, yeah, and then they went on to supply that same program to many, many, many other countries, especially during the revolutionary period in the 60s, all around the world. So that campaign alone would have been impressive enough.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think the following day, if I'm not mistaken, we went and farmed. So we went out to smaller farms, and they're upping their farm production on the island as well as their solar, of course. They've actually, I think, double or tripled their solar production within this last year, in large part due to China's contributions,
Right.
of solar panels. And they're also trying to farm more because, of course, they have to import a lot of their food. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's amazing. We got to see their micro farm. And during that same day, we actually got to sit down and talk not only with the farmers, who were also so kind, and they were able to provide us with some very nice snacks, and they like sang and danced for us, the whole people that live in that community. So that was really cool. And we get to sit down and talk with a lot of university students, as well as some teachers. and they hadn't met foreigners previously, so they were talking to us about Marxism, why we were in Cuba, what we felt about it, how we felt about it. And that was really neat too, to be able to talk to people like my age that have lived there their entire lives.
Yeah.
And I think it was the day after that, I think we went to this community art center. That's where the kneecap concert was that everyone got really mad about. Um, we were very angry about that, which I'll preface this and I'll say the community art center that kneecap was at hosts concerts all year long. Okay.
It just so happened that
Kneecap
Kneecap was
happened to be
there.
there. And if it makes anybody feel better, they performed for like 15 minutes. So it's okay. And not only that, but there were mainly Cubans were there, and I know because I talked to them because I'm not a freak. I talk to people, and I was like, "Oh, like where are you guys from?" Like, "Oh, I'm from this city. I'm from the city. I come here all the time. Whatever." So yes, real Cubans do go there, and they enjoy it. It was great.
Not just Hassan Piker.
Not just Hassan Piker. I know, crazy. Can you believe it? Can
Yeah.
you believe it?
Oh my God. Yeah. People are so ridiculous about that kind of shit. It's like, I don't give a fuck that Kneecap was, I mean, good for them.
Not
They,
only do I not give a fuck because like I like whatever, okay, cool, but also it kind of like it immediately just made me think of how people react to poor people in the US like having their nails done
right.
or like getting a nice, like buying new clothes or something because obviously like a lot of the hate came from diaspora like people that are going to criticize anything and
Right.
also from like liberals and right wingers. Oh, you're using the fuel, you're doing this, whatever. And I was like, a lot of this is just like, you don't want poor people to have nice things. Like, what the fuck are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to like live in their houses, slowly biding their time until they stop being genocided and then they can have a concert or two? Fuck off. Like, my God, dude.
Yeah, it's like the whole like you're not allowed to have things if you're poor. Like you're not,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
it's like how people get mad that people use their link card to buy like soda. And
Exactly.
I'm like,
Like, I don't
first
give
of
a
all, mind your
single fuck,
business.
dude. I don't
Yeah,
give a single fuck. Not one. I could not care less.
same here. Like I don't give a fuck. It's one of those things that it's like some of y'all need to mind your business and just
Most
like,
people do not know how to mind their business, especially people that are not actually poor. That's all
yeah.
that it comes down to.
And
Like,
yeah, it's just like leave these people alone. They're doing their best with what they have. And I'm sorry if someone wants something nice. Like my
literally.
my thing is like, for example, like someone a poor person having their nails done, y'all don't know that person's story. Maybe they have a
Mm,
cousin that does their nails.
mm.
You know? Like maybe like and even
Or
if
maybe
they
they want to get their fucking nails done. Like,
yeah,
damn.
and even if they did want to go get their fucking nails done and they paid full price for it, good for them. They deserve something
Literally.
nice.
Life
Sorry.
is too short, bro. I don't have time for all that. I really don't.
Yeah, for
So
real.
ridiculous. And also, like, of course, which I'll tell you what, too. Like, I did not think the backlash was going to be that large. Like, before I went, I actually was a little bit worried about getting back into the country. That's all I was really worried about. I did not realize it was going to be, like, so heavily covered by the media.
Mm.
And then to have, like, the biggest controversy be, like, a concert that was 15 minutes long and, like, some celebrities staying in a hotel. I was like, this is all you have?
Yeah, even
This is
Madame
really all you
Banana
got?
talked about Hassan staying in a five-star hotel, and I was like,
Mm,
okay, man, I understand the like irritation.
mm,
Like, I'm not saying that there's not room for like
mm.
criticism, but this
I
cannot be the
think
most important part of this situation.
no. The only thing I really cared about with Hassan staying in the five-star hotel was the fact that he lied about why he stayed there. And he
Right.
said he had to stay there, and that is not true. And he also said that like, there's only certain places you're allowed to stay, whatever. And that is true. But they did not have to stay in that hotel. I don't care. Like I'm down with whatever. You guys do your thing. I like Code Pink. I think they're cool. I would guess the reason that they stayed there is because they wanted their entire contingency to be together, and they were a very large group. That's my
Right.
guess. But then just say that because what ends up happening then is you have Hassan saying like, "Oh, I had to stay there" or something, and then they jump on that, which they did, and they're like, "That's not true. You're lying." And then that makes all of us look bad. And then you get people in my comments who are like, I can't believe you stayed at a 5-star hotel. And I'm like, bro, I can't do
I
this.
literally was not even part of that. Did
I
you even
was not
see
busy.
Hassan while you were there?
No, I didn't see Assam while I was there. He was doing so much stuff. I don't even know where he was. We were running around. Um,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah, so that's the most annoying part is just like, if we're gonna have a story, I would love to stick to it. That'd be great. And I would also love for us to just keep it real because like I don't know, Hassan Piker is like a millionaire. Why would he want to stay in like a bunk bed in a community center? That's just kind of what they do.
Hmm. Yeah.
Whatever. That's fine. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, I also just think that like Hassan Piker should not be the focus of this.
No, yeah, he just ended up being the focus of it. Because that's how it works. Like you get the most famous person, they say they're going to go on this controversial trip, and then they go, and then they're picked up by the media more than anybody else is, not the Cubans. So,
Right. And
but
yeah.
to his credit, I think he even said that himself. So that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
cool. I know like here's the thing, I'm no fan of Hassan Piker, but I when I
No,
saw that
yeah.
Bad Empanada video, I was like, come on, man. There's got to be something more
Well,
important to talk about here.
well, I had was just mentioned on the Hassan stream for the first time. So this is a
Mm,
big deal for me. Like I feel really special. I'm
good for
just
you.
kidding. And someone brought me up, and he didn't know me, and they were like, she's an ultra who hates Zoran, and he said bless
Ugh.
her heart. I'm not an ultra, thank you. Appreciate the moniker though. But then also I was like, a grown man saying bless her heart about a random young woman disgusts me in a
Hassan
way.
said that?
Yes. Like
Uh,
I don't like his vibe. I'm not gonna like talk trash on him because it's really not that relevant and I don't care that much.
for
But I'm
real.
not a Hassan fan either. But I think it just like it just puts a bad taste in my mouth. That's all.
That's not great. Yeah.
No, not cute.
Yeah, some of these online creators need to get it the fuck together. This is something that I've been kind of harping on recently within my own party, but also kind of online as well. Where I'm tired of the like I'm tired of online Marxists centering so much of their content around just themselves and what they
Well,
do.
that's the beauty of Hassan is that he's not a Marxist.
Exactly. He
So
loves
that's
to say he's a Marxist.
Hassan himself has said he's somewhere between a socialist and a democratic socialist.
So
So
he's a
like
Democrat.
so he's a democrat.
Yeah.
So he's a democratic socialist. But like the end goal, and this is a direct quote from Hassan. The end goal is that like he is the most right wing of the left wing pipeline. That is the end
Right.
goal. Like he is the entryway because he has a huge following and he's very well known. He's been doing this for a very long time, and people think he's hot and smart. And
Mm-hmm.
then you find Hassan, and then you go, huh? Like what about this thing? And then you traverse, further left. That's the goal. So
Right.
I'm like, Hassan is who Hassan is. I was at a conference a while ago, and there were some people sitting behind me, and they were talking about him, and they were like, I'm just so angry that he's the face of the left, like he shouldn't be the face of the left. And I was like, I agree, which is why you should be the face of the left. Like if you're upset about it, you kind of have to take the reins. That's how it works. Like you have to replace the old guard with the new.
Right. And I think that one of the problems here is that people like Hassan, and I'm going to call out Bad Empanada here as well, and FD Signifier and Little Bill,
Mm,
and uh, I mean, ContraPoint's is just a liberal, but like,
yeah.
a lot of the online breadtube folks who
Yeah.
think that they're radical, you're not.
Mm,
You're not.
mm,
You like to play the radical card because liberals think that you're cool.
mm,
But you're not a radical. You have made your career into being an online streamer. You make
mm,
thousands of dollars a month while the rest of us make pennies.
mm,
Um, I am tired of I'm tired of this shit. I
mm,
really am. Like with this Cuba trip and what you did, I think it's so incredibly cool.
You're
Like
so sweet.
I love it. And to sit here and hear the online left bitch about Hassan staying in a five-star hotel, which again, I don't care.
No.
Like, I care that he lied because that's not a good look. Um, but like, literally there are more important things to consider here.
bro. We gotta
Like
prioritize.
priorities.
This is just the idiocracy of the United States and any Western country, is that we care more about celebrity than we care about the actual causes. Like, I can guarantee you the majority of people criticizing Hassan staying at a five-star hotel don't understand the extent of the blockade, because honestly, if you understand just how horrific and horrible it is, you don't care about any of the other bullshit. You don't have the time to complain about it, nor the energy, bandwidth, or desire. It's something that is so minute and irrelevant. That's
Yeah.
just how it goes. People cling on to the whatever makes them emotionally reactive.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a
And I
huge
get that.
critic. I'm a huge critic of, big names like Hassan Piker because
Yeah.
I used to be a fan and I'm very much not anymore. And,
Mm,
that came because I actually started reading and being more educated on Marxism, and I realized that he is not a Marxist. He likes to
no.
cosplay as a Marxist, but he's not a Marxist.
Yeah,
And
he's been talking about like angle. He like quoted angles. He was like, "Oh, the fall of the USSR was the greatest tragedy," and I'm like, "Okay, if you're gonna say that, can you actually stand on it? What the
yeah,
fuck are we doing? Like, you clearly
exactly.
know enough." The most infuriating part about Hassan, is that he knows enough clearly to know that what he's doing is a grift. That
Yes.
is the most infuriating part about Hassan. It's the same reason that Zoran infuriates me. It's the same reason
Yes.
that any of those people enrage me, is that people that don't know a whole lot will look at you and be like, "Oh, you have to give them more credit. You don't know what they don't know." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I promise you, Zoran Mamdani, with the Marxist, his father's a Marxist like professor or a Marxist like theorist. I promise, not only does he know what the right thing to do is, he also is choosing to not do the right thing
Right.
consciously for his own benefit. And that is far more evil than just being ignorant.
Yeah, shitting all
Not that
over
we're
his wife.
moralists, but I'm just saying.
Well, shitting all over his wife for like
Yeah.
supporting a Palestinian creator with her art
No,
and
literally, dude.
calling her an anti-Semite in front of like in like a whole fucking press conference.
Bro.
Like, how are people not jumping ship already?
Yeah, it's
Because
crazy.
like here's the thing. I go back and forth on the pissmonger. I like a lot of her content. But she was right when she made a video about this and was like, if my husband ever like chastised me publicly for supporting Palestine, I would beat
Mm,
the fuck out of him.
mm.
And she's
I would
right.
agree with that, but I would also say I think the next layer on top of that is like, not only did Rama probably know that he was going to do that, she was probably fine with it, and that actually makes it worse
Yeah.
because they're in cahoots. Like, they're both very intelligent, savvy people. They're well aware of the position that they're in now. Like, they could very easily be lifelong celebrities.
Hmm.
From this stint with mayorhood. Maybe he ends up being mayor again, maybe he does something else, I don't know. But like, they're prepared to capitulate as much as they need to in order to maintain power and maintain wealth and influence, like, obviously. So yes, as much as it's like, oh, you shouldn't talk shit about your wife, like, I promise you, I'm almost certain Rama was probably briefed, and then she also was like, yeah, fuck it, like, fuck the Palestinians. We already clearly don't support them. They don't. Whatever. Say whatever you want. I get it. I get it, Zoran. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I don't like
No.
either of them. I don't
I
care.
I'm just tired of this. I'm tired. People need to get over this celebrity like culture.
Yeah.
It's like I'm tired of people being mega fans of people like I said, like of Hassan, or
Yeah.
people being mega fans of FD Signifier, or being mega fans of fucking the Bad Husband podcast. And I'm like, I love
Mm,
all of these people. Well, I don't, but like I think that they have a place, but like these people are people at the end of the day. Like Bad and Banana has some good takes, but I think he's also a Maoist third worldist, and I just have a lot of really big disagreements with him.
mm.
And I'm tired of people essentializing these online celebrities. Um, they
Yeah, I
are,
think a lot of it is just people don't understand how to humanize other people. I think this is just like just another extension of our hyper individualism. Like, people look at online creators and they view us, or more broadly them, as like fictitious and not real, and they pedestal them and they don't view them as whole and complete people.
Right.
And that's a natural part of just like not having an understanding of collectivism in any real way, you know?
Exactly. And it's like, I will listen to all of these people's takes, like socialism for all. I'll listen to
Mm,
his takes. I don't agree with every single thing that he says.
mm,
I'm tired of him plugging the Green Party. Stop doing
mm.
that. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
weird. I don't know why he does that.
I don't even know. I don't care at this point, but like I understand I understand his logic at the beginning. I don't understand why he's still doing that in 2026. Like
Mm,
he's already basically said APL is like one of the only solid Marxist-Leninist parties. He just
mm,
is refusing to do any more research on us because he doesn't want to have to commit to anything.
mm.
So that's a criticism that I have of him, but I still really respect a lot of his content.
Yeah, he does
um
great work.
he does great work. Apart from that, it's this is a big side tangent, but the point I'm trying to make here above all is, especially with this Cuba trip, stop focusing on the individual online celebrities, guys.
Mm,
Like what
please.
Hassan Piker did in Cuba, don't give a fuck.
No.
Criticize him all you want, as you should, but ultimately what we need to be focusing on is the Cuban people and what they are
Mm,
going through and
mm,
what they're dealing with and what they are having to be resilient
mm,
against.
mm,
It does not matter, honestly, what this online celebrity did here or there, um, because ultimately that online celebrity gets to go back to his $1 million mansion in
mm,
LA with
mm.
his nice dog and his family and all of that shit. Like the rest
Yeah,
of us get to go home. These people still
yeah,
have to live under that every single day.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I guess my next question for you
Tell me, tell
is,
me.
so of all the people that you met in Cuba, who did you find to be some of the most inspiring, um or the most interesting to talk to in your journey?
I talked to a lot of different people. I'll go from like the last day and then maybe I'll retrace my steps. One of the most interesting conversations that I had was with a man who worked at the community center, and I'm forgetting his name now, but we talked for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and he was a pro intervention Cuban. And I wanted to make a point to talk to people that were in fact pro intervention, because I think, like, why wouldn't I talk to all different kinds of Americans every day? The least I can do is talk to all different kinds of Cubans. And I was so curious why he was pro intervention. And I wanted to know. And so he brought it up and he's like, ever since the pandemic, the prices have skyrocketed. I can hardly afford anything. Like, I have a daughter, I have to work 2 jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, what's so crazy? We have the exact same problems in the US. And like, we've had them. Like, we're all suffering in
Right.
like very similar ways. And he's like, yeah, but the difference is, and this, I'm going to compress this conversation, but he said the difference is you have libertad, you have freedom, you have true freedom. I don't have that. And I said, what do I have the freedom to do? And he said, you can criticize the government however you want. And yes, it is true that like the Cuban government does care about what you say about them as a citizen. Like, there
Right.
are repercussions for speaking badly about them. I'll tell you something. Here in the US, you don't even have to speak badly about the US government and they will shoot you dead in the street. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah. No, that's a good
Like,
point.
there's no requirements for being murdered by the state here. They can do it freely and get away with it, and your family may get $1 million for your death, if you're lucky. So I basically said that to him, which was just like, yeah, but like, how often are you guys being murdered in the street? How often are you dying because you don't have access to medical care? How often are you, in tens of thousands of dollars of debt because of going to the doctor? And he didn't know anything about the medical care debt stuff. He didn't know about, I know most Cubans have some idea that like we are worse off when it comes to like our health care in the US, but I think
Right.
the extent of it is not quite understood. So like Madeline Pendleton was also talking to somebody else there on the trip, and they were complaining to them about not being able to get medication because of the blockade. And Madeline was like, I've never been to a doctor in my life. Like,
Really?
in my life, yeah, because they grew up very poor, and even now I think they may or may not have health insurance, but like they don't go to hospitals was their thing. They're like, oh,
Right.
for whatever reason it may be. And the person they were talking to was like, what? And they were like, yeah, like never in my childhood, didn't go to the dentist until I was like 20 years old or something. Um,
Wow.
and these people couldn't believe it, like they had like a look of like such shock and awe on their face, because to them, like not getting medication, of course, like that is very upsetting. Like you should have medication, you should have access to it. But the idea that somebody from a developed nation who's coming here, or supposedly developed nation, right, would be
Right.
like, no, like I don't even go to the doctor. Like what the fuck? I can't go to the doctor. So that's what I was talking to this man about as well, was that point. And I think like his point about me having freedom and him not was the most interesting thing, because it's also a line that is of course used by the diaspora, like, oh, you're so lucky to have the freedom that you do in the US, you have no idea, Cuba's so repressive, da 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 da. And to me, like, for one, by the way, no, we don't have freedom of speech. People are locked away all day, every day for jokes they say online. Like, that's becoming a more rampant thing. Like, you can't say certain things. They want to label you as terrorists for like being a socialist or communist.
Yep.
And they have done that previously. Like, what are we talking about? We're just lying, right? But then I told him as well, I was like, oh, yeah, like I'm training. I did a training for when I re enter the country, because I'll inevitably, or very likely, be stopped at the border. And
Right.
at the border, I don't have a right to a lawyer. And he looked at me and like cocked his head to the side and he was like, you don't have a right to a lawyer when you enter back in the country? I said, no. And so I explained the whole border policy exemption law to him. And I was like, yeah, like within this many miles of the border, like you basically, even if you're a US citizen, like you don't have a right to attorney. They can question you and hold you for like up to 72 hours. Like they don't care, whatever. They can search your things, they can take your things, they will go through your things using like spyware, malware. And like his whole face changed. And because so much of his previous thoughts had been, his bubble had been popped.
Yeah.
So we went on talking about it and it was a great conversation, and he knew that I was a communist. Like there was no, question about that.
Yeah.
But that was really it was really amazing, because more than anything I just love talking to people. Like that's the whole point of these trips. As much as it is like, I brought a couple suitcases of aid, and yeah, that was helpful, but it's mainly like ceremonial in large part at an individual level. What I think matters more than anything is like truly understanding what these people stand for and the problems that they're actually facing. And the reality is, that, as you already know, like, yes, as impressive as the Cuban Revolution has been and will continue to be, there is no Cuban Revolution without the blockade. So for every feat of the revolution, you have to also, stand that against the blockade. Like, yeah, they're able to do all these amazing things. The blockade's there the entire time.
Right. Right.
You can't separate them. They're materially linked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's another layer that's crazy. And then I will say the second, I mean, they're both the conversations are really interesting. The most, I would say, fascinating or impressive person, we had several veterans that had fought alongside Che. And so we
No
got to talk to
way.
them. Yes, way. I think you would have like exploded if you had been there.
Yeah, most likely into a pile of dust. I would have. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I recorded the
Comandante.
video. I'll text it to you at some point.
Yes.
Just remind me if I forget. But they talked at length. I mean, obviously they were like elderly men. We got to listen to them for like 3 or 4 hours. And what was the African country that the Cubans went to? It
Angola.
started Angola. Yeah, they went to Angola. And so they were talking about Angola. And was it Amir Cabral? Is that his name?
Hmm.
Amilcar
I'm not
Cabral?
familiar. I don't know.
So he's one of like the central figures, either within the Angolan Revolution or another one. If I'm getting something wrong, I apologize. But these people were present for like the murder of either him or a separate revolutionary, and they were talking
Hmm.
about that assassination. They talked about what it was like to be with Che. I mean, once again, like it's a very unique experience to like hear about something through songs and writing and videos, and then see it in real life. Like hearing people call Che like comandante, but they mean it like literally that was their comandante. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And that was amazing. Like it's a really I can like tear up right now. It's a really unique thing to be able to witness that kind of history in front of you. And of course, like we're coming to a time when all of those people are not going to be alive very soon. So the
Right.
fact that they these are like elderly people. Like in the US, these people would be like locked up in a fucking nursing home somewhere, barely able
Right.
to function. And here they're like going on tours of their country as they're actively being genocided, which like I understand most people when they hear blockade, like they understand it's a bad thing, but a blockade is a form of genocide, obviously, right? So like these people
Yeah.
have been being genocided this entire time as well on top of this all. Um and so like yeah, they were sitting there talking about how like much this revolution means to them. They persevere, and the sentiment, I mean, across the board, even from the pro intervention Cubans, right? And this is what I think I would really love to hone in on. Even from the pro intervention Cubans, they understand what imperialism is. They understand that the US is the largest harbinger of imperialism, and they understand that the US is a paper tiger. And
Yes.
they consistently said that over and over again. They were like, we're not scared. We've been through this before. We will fight. We understand what we have to do. We will defend our nation above all. And the United States is a joke. Donald Trump is a joke. These people, we know what they want. We know what they desire from our island, and we're not going to give it up.
Right.
So yeah, more than anything, that is the key. Like there is nothing similar to that in the United States. Even the people that would label themselves as nationalists or as patriots would do not talk about the United States like that. You know what I mean? It's an entirely, I mean, like that's their, like, their pueblo, their patria. Like that is like their nation is their people. I think
Right.
that's inextricably linked. So it's a much different emotional connection that they have to Cuba in comparison to us with our country.
Yeah, no, Cubans, I think, and it's also with, I think, their education and the very
Yeah.
community-based, I actually did research on this when I was in college.
Ooh, tell me.
Yeah, I took a sustainability course in college,
Mm.
and, one thing, I shouldn't say in college, it was last semester.
In college, in
In
college.
college, yeah, and it was basically I researched Cuba's climate change intervention policy, and
Mm.
it's called um what's it called, something Vita or Viva. It's basically their whole policy is using the government, the military, and the community and like a trifecta to support their solar,
Mm.
doing farming, basically retrofitting different uh, buildings.
Mm.
They have a very progressive policy on climate change. I need to look up what it's called now because it's going to bother me if I
Yeah, I'm
don't.
so curious.
Um, Cuban climate change policy. Um, yeah, and Tarea Vita. Yeah, it's called Life Task. And they started this
Mm.
back in, it was approved by the Council of Ministers in 2017, and it's a comprehensive long-term state plan to confront climate change, targeting coastal protection, agriculture adaptation. I'm just reading the Google thing.
Mm.
And infrastructure resilience against sea level rise and extreme weather through 2100. So, this is a very, very progressive policy. When you talk about the farming, I think that's really cool because that is something that they have been like really, really investing in is their
Mm-hmm.
rice farming.
Yeah.
Um, they've been really invested in protecting the reefs around
Yeah.
their coastal regions and basically like setting up setting up their cities and just the whole island to be prepared for climate change and what that can mean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're amazing.
Hmm.
They're on it. The solar expansion is really insane. I mean, they're expanding so rapidly right now. Like it's unprecedented. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, no, and I think it's as much as I criticize China, I do think it's a good thing that they send solar stuff to Cuba.
Bare minimum.
Bare minimum, but I think that it's a good thing. It's the least
Yeah,
they
I
can
agree.
do. I think that yeah, I think Cuba, if only they weren't just such a tiny little island.
Yeah.
Like that's the hard part is that they have so much going for them. The one problem is they have an ocean on all sides.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it's really difficult to, and then when the Soviet Union fell and the special period came into effect, It was very devastating for their economy, but they still recovered.
Yep, still. I know, and that's the most impressive thing. Like it would have been a very natural consequence of the fall of the Soviet Union that they just like ceased to exist.
Yeah,
That was what was expected.
but they
But nope,
didn't.
nope.
They kept going. Did you guys talk about the Soviets at all, and their effect on
Um,
Cuba?
we actually talked about them very briefly. We really didn't talk much about like foreign politics, with the exception of the United States. Um, and like it was very heavily programmed. Like
Yeah,
we were, going from one place to another. We had a set amount of time with each group of people that we were meeting with, and the majority of what it was focused on was like how they felt with the blockade and everything like that.
right,
But of
right,
course,
right,
like, yeah, like there's like USSR, memorabilia scattered across Havana. Of course, like Fidel and Che are the main people that are thrown up everywhere. But
right.
yeah, I didn't I anybody that like it was brought up to, they didn't have a negative view of the USSR for sure. Nor did they have a negative view of China. Several people, of course, did like say that they viewed China as the same to the US, and that was interesting too. Yeah, so it was cool
Yeah, that's really
conversation.
interesting. I'm not surprised by that. I was talking to a friend about this last night actually.
Mm,
But yeah, no, I think that that's such an interesting, I love to hear Cuban people's perspectives on this because I mean, it's not every day you get to talk to a
mm,
Cuban from Cuba who's
mm.
not a Miami Cuban
Yeah,
about
literally.
this. Yeah, like that's so interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, because to them it's like, oh well, they know that China is not the USSR.
right,
It never was, and it never will be. And the USSR was like a completely unique and separate thing, and it will never be the same. So, like they're very cautious. Some people are. A lot of people love China too, but I'm just saying, like, of course, it's a country full of mixed opinions because it's a country. It's how it works. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, they were happy to get the solar. They weren't upset about that or
I'm
anything.
sure. You
But
take
yeah,
what you can get. Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, and it's like understanding like the nuances between Vietnam and China, and like there's a reason
Yeah.
that Vietnam does not fuck with China. And
Yeah.
like can you blame them? No.
Mm. Mm.
Not after, pairing up with Nixon and Kissinger. I cannot blame
Mm.
the
Mm.
Vietnamese for being haters.
Mm.
Um but I think that, with the Cubans, it's so interesting to hear about all of the amazing work that the Cuban government and the Cuban people are doing,
Mhm.
even through such draconian and genocidal policy as what the
Yep.
US has been doing for the last 60 plus years.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, and so I guess my final question for you is, what was your favorite
Tell me,
part?
what was my favorite part? My favorite part was not feeling like a freak. It's really cool to be in a place where everyone views what you think and believe as not that weird. But like that's my favorite personal part. I would say my favorite part more broadly was probably just being surrounded by like really kind people that love to chat and are happy to spend time with you whether or not they have power or not.
Right.
It was great vibes. Like we were very busy. We did a lot. We did so many activities and we got to meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds, and through it all, like never once was there any kind of negativity, which frankly, like, I'm a privileged American. What can I say? I can't imagine. Um, but that wasn't an issue for them. They went about their day, talked about their day. Of course, they mentioned it was like difficult, but they're just such loving people. So the people were the best part by far. And it was nice that I, in fact, did not get stopped for questioning at the border. I
You
was scared about
didn't.
that.
Okay,
I did
good.
it.
I'd have to beat
Yay.
them up if they did that to you, Lily.
Would you? I know you would.
Yes, I
But I
would.
brought my fake phone and everything, and they were like, "No, no biggie." And I was like, "Cool, thanks, guys."
They knew.
Felicity does not have to beat you up now.
Yeah. I don't have to go Jack Reacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's so cool though that when you told me that you had this opportunity, I was like,
Mm.
girl, oh my God, like that's
Yes,
so freaking cool.
we need to get you out there.
Yeah, get me to Fidel's grave, please.
We need to. We
Yes.
need to
Get me over there. I am
because you would
actually
appreciate it in like such a profound way.
Yeah, I'm actually half Puerto Rican. I'm, part
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
Caribbeans, I guess. So,
Yeah,
it would be really cool to be able to visit other parts of the Caribbean and
yeah,
see the vibes and Cuba, I respect their project so much. And,
yeah,
you know, um, through it all, they have had to be so resilient and be very creative in how they
yeah.
deal with this policy and the fact that they're in shark infested waters, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Literally,
so it's I'm sure a challenge every single day, but the resilience of the Cuban people is unmatched, truly.
literally. Patria o muerte.
Yes, what does that mean?
It means what is it? Patria is like country. I'll say country. It's not
Yeah,
quite the right word, but country or death.
yeah, yeah,
And it's
no.
funny because the people in the diaspora, they say patria o vida o patria po vida, like,
Hmm.
country or life or country so you can live or something like that. But the people of the country say or death because they mean it like they're about that. So it's a
Yeah,
very interesting difference that you can see.
it reminds
Um,
me of the trans comrades when they say death before detransition.
yes,
Like,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah, no, that's so cool though. Yeah, I love, and this trip, I hope that you get to go back and do more
I
work
hope
with
so
them.
too. I hope so too. I'd love to stay for quite a while longer. I actually was able to make some friends out there that happened to already follow me on Instagram. So if I could stay with them, I would be there for a lot longer and do work on the ground. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and learn the language and the culture and be
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of
yeah.
it. I would love to do that as well because I think Cuba is such a cool place and they have again, their project is amazing, and as the United States is gearing up to possibly invade them and do further destruction and
I
damage
know.
to the
I know.
people, it's so
So
important that
fucking
we
evil.
yes, it's so important that we continue to support them through what they are dealing with and be good comrades.
Always and forever.
Yeah, yeah, but I want to say thank you again for coming on. Is there anything that you wanted to emphasize before we finish out today?
What do I want to emphasize? I think I want to emphasize that um it is really easy to become educated about this stuff. And I hope that, like, and I know actually that through what you share, Felicity, people become educated. You're a really great communicator.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
but like, that is like one of the best things that you can do. You don't have to go on these trips, these places, if you can't afford it, if you don't have the time. Most people can't and won't get to. You can do so much already just by intimately understanding the historical context of the places that your country is actively attempting to strangle. And
Right,
that alone is already such a great tool against the empire, disseminating propaganda that people are like trying to pump into your brain is amazing. Like right before I left, I was at a thrift store. The woman that works there, she's Cuban American, but she's like she's with it, she's like a socialist. She's
real.
really cool. We were chatting. She's like, oh, you're going to Cuba? She was really happy that I was going. And somebody came up and they're like, oh, are you going on like a vacation to Cuba? Like,
Ugh.
you're gonna go like on a vacation? And I was like, no, it's an aid trip. And she's like, aid for what?
Oh my
And so
God.
like
Eight for
for
what?
aid for what? But like that's the thing, right? Like the average American doesn't even fucking know. So if you as an American are capable of not only knowing but understanding intellectually, historically, you are not only further ahead, you also have a duty to then spread that information to other people as well. So I hope that that's what people take away from it. I was very happy to get to go on the trip. It literally changed my life. It was the most important trip of my life, but I would have felt just as passionately being able to understand Cuba more intimately from the comfort of my own home. Like both things are very important. So
Yeah,
that's what I want to emphasize.
absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much, Lily Agla, for coming on the show and sharing your
Thank
experience.
you.
Yeah, you are always welcome, and we so appreciate your presence and your sharing your stories. So
And I
thank you.
hashtag love you.
Hashtag love you.
Hashtag love you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.